Karen, who has been living with ALS for 9 years. While ALS has significantly impacted her physical abilities, she brings a valuable insight, strength, and perspective to this conversation. She has kindly agreed to share her stories with us. She has kindly agreed to share her story with us as future nurses so we can learn how to better support patients living with complex conditions. So we have some questions for you. And the first question is, when were you first diagnosed and what were your thoughts and feelings of the diagnosis?
Okay, so my diagnosis was officially August of 2017. To be honest, I knew a little bit about ALS, and of course, people my age and older, it was referred to as Lou Gehrig's when we were growing up. So it's kind of, when people say that, it's like, oh, okay, at least I know what you're talking about. One of the saddest things is when I went to have some more testing, they'd done a lot of it. With ALS, it's a lot of process of elimination. So they test and see if you have like MS, and it's like, oh no, it's not that. And then, so there is kind of like weeding out other things it could be, and then that's what's left, kind of. So it involves a lot of different tests. So they did a spinal tap, which is a lumbar puncture, brain scan, CT brain scan, and several of the EMG. It's when they put the electrical currents through your nerves.
Yeah.
Ouch. Did not enjoy that, I'm just saying. And I had to have it done 4 times the year I was diagnosed because they were trying to figure things out. So, and then the one regret I have is when I went to the appointment that we thought they were just going to do one more little test but not tell us anything, because that's usually what would happen. Yeah, they told us, and my husband didn't go that day because usually they don't tell you anything. And so, and like I said, they did most of the testing. It's just one more, but I figured they'd make a separate appointment then. Yeah, no, they did not, and my daughter was with me. And so, honestly, it was horrible. And so she just broke down crying, and I was crying, and so I will say that wasn't pleasant. And I don't know that anybody has a pleasant experience with being told they have ALS.
Yeah.
So, but I will say, like, overall, I feel really blessed and stuff, and I feel like my doctors have been good. We go to UNMC Med Center, and I feel like they've been really good. And there's quite a bit of support out there. But yeah, it was pretty hard. I think I felt more for my kids and my husband. Like, you know, I didn't want them to have to see me go through that or to have to take care of me. But, you know, it's all good.
What were your first symptoms, and when did you think that something more might be going on?
Okay, so honestly, my very first symptoms were probably like muscle spasms, muscle cramps, but honestly, they're different than that, so it's just so hard to explain. But just like weird twitches in different parts of your body that shouldn't be doing that, and you're like, what's happening right now? And so I talked to my doctor about that, and he took me off of one of my medications, thinking maybe that was contributing. Is fenofibrate for cholesterol. But that didn't do anything. I mean, it didn't make it better. And so, yeah, and then I just got weaker in my hands and arms over time. And then the first time, like, I'm like, this definitely is something bad. It was my daughter, it was in 2015, so 2 years before I was diagnosed. My daughter had just graduated from high school, and I went to put away the photographs and photo albums, and it was in a heavy box, but I'd always just like, always sit up in the top of the closet, no problem. I could not get it up there at all. It was very, yeah. I'm like, this isn't right, so.
Okay, what has been the hardest part about ALS for you?
Letting people do stuff for you.
Yeah.
You know, as a mom, teacher, caretaker, you're used to doing everything and juggling all the things that need to be juggled. And it's very humbling to have to turn that over to other people. And I don't know, it takes a lot of trust, even with your own family members. And it's not that you don't trust them and don't love them, but I don't know, you kind of have to give up part of who you are in a way. And just understand that people that love you want to help you, and you just have to start accepting the help. I mean, because we really like to do things on our own, but
Yeah.
it's so hard.
Let's see. What do you miss most from before your diagnosis?
Being able to give someone a decent hug with both my arms.
So sweet.
No, it truly is. With being a
Yeah.
teacher, and then, like I said, a mom, and just everywhere, I was just a big hugger.
Mm-hmm.
So that is hard.
What does a typical day look like for you now?
All right. Well, so one of my daughters will get me up and help me sit up in bed, transfer me to a bedside commode, and then while I'm in that, they'll dress me and everything, and then they usually transfer me to my beautiful office chair that I have rigged up. So beautiful. It works for me, and this is where I spend most of the day. And then usually they'll get me kind of set up at my computer, which is voice controlled and eye gaze control, sorry. And so I can do pretty much things that I want to do on there. And then look at my coffee and my smoothie and just have that sitting in front of me. And then I can be pretty independent. If it's my daughter that lives here that gets me up, then generally she goes downstairs and does some of her own stuff because I am really fine by myself for a while. If it's my daughter that comes in from Beatrice a few days a week, she'll usually help me do some projects and things that it's hard for us to get to just with our day-to-day. So I kind of save special projects for her. Lucky girl. When she's ready.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. How do you communicate your needs?
Well, luckily I am, obviously, I think, verbal. So that's my primary way. I just tell people what I need. But with ALS, as you probably know, that is one of the things that can be affected first. So I'm very thankful that I can still eat and drink and swallow and talk, because otherwise it's very challenging. I do have like a tablet here that's an eye gaze tablet that is often used for communication device. So I can, I'd have to use my eyes to type all the words out, and then it would generate the voice. And I did do voice banking as soon as I was diagnosed, pretty much, and that's where they get a recording of your voice. And when I first did it, it was back in 2017, so it was okay, but now they've got just really, really good ability to make it really sound like you.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's actually a group, Bridging Voices is one of the groups, and there's another name with it, but that's the one I remember. But they actually provide free voice recording, and then they, you can speed it up, slow it down, add expression, but it's your voice. So, and they did about an hour of recordings, and you can go back and revisit it. So my daughter helped me because you got to scroll through the stuff and read it all. So we got that all done. So that's there when I need it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? Yep. How can caregivers and nurses improve their care?
Listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've been very fortunate, and I feel like people that do it very often are very good at that. But it's hard to shift your thinking, which I get that part of it. Like if you're used to doing something a certain way, it's hard when someone's telling you a different way to do it because you just have in your mind how it's supposed to be done. And with my abilities, they're not your typical aging ability where one thing gets a little bit weak or whatever, whereas because the hands and arms can't hardly do anything. So we do use a gait belt to transfer, but I can't put my arms up to help. So it's just like, so if they listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and I know it's hard to shift, but sometimes it's just, we got to do it a little differently than maybe how people were trained. And I know that's tricky, but.
Yeah, okay. What advice would you give nursing students?
Same. Yeah, listening and communicating clearly, but also give yourself some grace. You're new at this. It's going to take a while to have things be automatic, and even then, I don't know if it's like teaching. I'm sure it is. Things change.
Yes.
How they want you to do things. The laws change. The expectations change. So just be constantly updating yourself on what's happening out there so you're current
Yeah.
on what the expectations are.
Yes. What physical changes or change was the hardest to adjust to?
Probably no walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, the hands and arms happened early on. I'm not saying it was great to not be able to write or carry things or whatever. But when I could still walk around, you felt a little more independent. But when I had to give that up, that was kind of hard.
Yeah, especially you said you like to move around a lot.
Oh yeah, I used to walk like every day. I'd walk up at Holmes Lake and just.
And how do you manage discomfort or pain?
Sorry. Okay, I'm not laughing. Only good ways. No, I do some CBD gummies. That's why I was kind of chuckling because I'm like, no. And I actually do some deltas, but and that helps with the evening. Like I'll do them at closer to bedtime, and it helps with the muscles not to cramp as much. Then I have some over-the-counter leg and cramp medication. I take. What is it that I take at night? It's one that is the medication for nerves a lot. Gabapentin. So I take that every night.
Okay.
But I don't do it during the day because it can make you tired.
Yeah.
So mostly that works. And I do have some rubs that have either CBD or kind of relaxing things in them. And that tends to help a lot too. Good.
How has communication changed for you, and what tools or devices help you the most?
Okay, so like I said, the verbal's pretty good. Of course, with my hands, I can't really use a mouse or anything. Well, I have my hand on it, but I use voice control. On my laptop, I do voice control and eye gaze. And then I also have a tablet, which is strictly eye gaze. So that really allows me to do almost anything I want on the computer or laptop. So otherwise, it'd be pretty limited. So that stuff is just coming further all the time. And I use voice control on my iPhone and my iPad. So all my reading I do on my iPad, but I can use voice control to turn the pages, so I don't have to worry about trying to have a hand up there. Or sometimes there's hand clickers, and we kind of tried that in the in-between phase. But the voice control was excellent for that.
Good. And how do you handle loss of independence?
I don't know. I just do. I mean, I guess part of my thing is I can't change what's happening to my body by being sad or upset or frustrated or angry. I'm not saying those things never happen, but it's not going to change anything. And like I said, just kind of that being okay with how things are. And yeah, that's honestly, that's mostly it. Try to dwell on the positive, look at all the things I can do, and that I'm thankful for each day.
Good. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And what are you most proud of?
My girls rising to the occasion. Like, and it's not that I didn't think they would. You don't really expect to have to put your kids through this. Like literally nobody would want to put their kids through this. But they have just been so amazing. So, and I know it's hard because they're my caretakers, but I'm also their mom, and I want to take care of them, And so I find myself doing mom things, like asking, like, did you wear a coat, or some ridiculous thing, and they're like, Mom, you probably don't need to ask if I wore my jacket when I went outside. But,
So what are your favorite memories?
That'd have to be family ones, just time spent. So when I was first diagnosed, so one good thing we did is we planned some trips that we'd been kind of waiting for, till we retired or whatever. And so we did, some family trips, and I'm just so glad we did that. They did just really, really good memories. And then it turned out my husband ended up getting cancer and dying in 2020, which we didn't know we didn't know that was going to happen, but it brought me comfort that we did those trips for both of us. Originally, obviously, we planned them because of my condition, but it's beautiful memories that I really treasure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what do you want your story to teach people?
that there's always something to be thankful for. And there's always someone, you feel sorry for yourself, but you talk to someone else and they've had just awful things, you know what I mean? And so everybody's going through something.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a quote I just read in a book I'm reading by Corey Ten Boom, and I could not do it justice, but basically it's don't let your worry about tomorrow rob your strength for today.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to print that off and put that on my
Yes.
computer because it's a really good reminder.
It is. Okay, lastly, what legacy do you want to leave?
Just the importance of family and being there for each other, loving each other, doing whatever you can to help each other, and giving grace to people, because we never know what they're going through. And also the legacy of a love for God, to pass that on because it's been so important to me.
Yes. Okay, so that's the end of the questions. So thank you so much for taking the time to tell us your story, and what you have shared with us today will help us become better nurses.
Wow, you're already off to a great start.
Yeah.